pertaining to a shed in our book. That's less than 600 square feet, you don't have to have,
And the definition of building.
but we don't have a,
Well, there's a definition in 108 of building. That's what I was pointing to.
Within this book, the definition of a building is any structure having a roof supported by columns or walls and intended for the shelter, housing, or enclosure of any individual, animal, process, equipment, goods, or materials of any kind and intended for use in one place.
Very similar to 108.
Yeah.
and here it mentions shed. in ours. But
Building shall apply to all structures except ancillary facilities such as sheds, private residence, and similar structures.
Russ, you're being awful quiet down there.
No, I'm just listening to you.
Okay. I don't know. This is why it's hard to, you know, and there needs to be some clarification.
Right.
This lists a accessory building as a subordinate structure on the same lot as the principal or main building or use.
That's it?
That's it.
I like that a lot better.
Too, and that's what our first sentence says.
Simple.
Should we substitute that for that?
I think it makes more sense. It's easier to understand,
Right.
you know? And then you get into the accessory dwelling unit and all of those
But
other,
see, we know what an accessory
Yeah.
dwelling unit is.
yeah.
You know,
Well, isn't that what our first sentence says, huh? Just read under accessory building and read, and just put a period right where that.
Right, but it goes
on.
on to say,
And forget all the rest of it,
right,
because that's basically just what Todd read.
What did you, read that again, Todd?
A subordinate structure on the same lot as the principal or main building or use.
Yeah. Yeah, if you just take that first,
right, and get rid of everything under it.
yeah, be a lot easier to understand.
And then you would go to the rest of it,
Hmm?
and then you could go back to what garages are,
Mhm.
Right.
these.
Well, 'cause when we get down into the garages, we need to add garages to be allowed into a residential, because right now, only garage is allowed is attached. A semi-attached or detached garage is not allowed in a residential zone.
And if there's a wall between them, it's two buildings.
If there's any other public comment at this time? We're on the accessory building. We're on-
Is there any specification about how many accessory units, like a number? It's just sort of a rating?
That's covered in the actual zones,
Okay,
how much property.
so you
you
could
know.
have a garage and 3 sheds or?
Right, well, you can only cover 35% of the residential, 50% of this, and,
Okay, oh, by
Right.
lake, by area.
right, so that's all covered under the regular zoning stuff.
Yeah, one minor thing, I'd suggest that if you're going to be consistent with the dwelling, comma, accessory, and like they were kind of standardizing on, I suggest you change that to be building, comma, accessory.
Okay.
And then where it says building principal, it's actually a space, you could put a comma in there too for consistency. You're off. Then you have all your building definitions together.
Okay. Is there any other talk about that? I mean, I guess to me, if that little definition book says it as plain and simple as that, I don't see why we should be overcomplicating it and then we can go down the road and clarify what accessory dwellings are and other. Anything down there? All right.
So are we gonna add accessory buildings to R1, 2, 3, and RMH?
This, yeah, that's a shed, yeah.
And to A? I mean, really, accessory buildings should be all the way across the board, everything should be allowable.
That would make sense.
Until we get down about 500.
So you're gonna add a new,
No, it's already there. Accessory building's already on the list. The problem is it's not allowed in R1, R2, R3, which a shed is allowed under them. If you go back in here and look someplace else, they're allowed. So we're just saying they're allowed. Which they are already.
so you're gonna add,
In R1,
primary
R2,
uses and, to the existing code.
it's not a primary use, no.
It's an accessory.
It's an accessory building. We're just gonna say they're permitted in R1, R2, R3, and RMH and A. An accessory building should be approved every place in Dillon, so long as they can meet all the other zoning requirements.
And they already are, aren't
Mhm.
Well, they are, but yeah, sure, I mean, we put sheds everywhere and we list them under someplace else, they're just not listed in here as being allowed, but they're allowed. We get them there. So,
We didn't have to look very far before we started finding the contradictions, and that's what we've been
Right.
talking about. There's so many
Right.
things that contradict in this book.
right.
So it's right there and cleaning up one at
See,
a
now,
time.
I guess one thing we need to discuss in business park, Mike has got it in there as a conditional use. Is that something that we think a business, of course, we don't have a business park, but I would think a business park would be someplace that an accessory building should be allowed to,
Mhm.
they? Yeah.
assuming, once you get into the business park stuff, if it says you can't have it, I don't know.
The true vision of a business park is said 3 or 4 structures. They're usually solid, substantially good size, 8 to 10,000 square feet. You have loading docks, and the rest of that is all parking.
Okay. So-
Mini version, town and country. Coffee kiosk.
So leave it as a conditional use then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I'm good with that too, I just see it was here.
We just don't have that here, but we do, there is in other places around the state, but that's
Okay.
micro version of what it would be.
Okay,
So you really do want to dodge around sheds in a big huge parking lot. Or AKA a park, business park development.
okay, well, I'm happy with what you're writing.
That's just an analogy of understanding it, so we comprehend it here in our world versus statewide, worldwide.
For clarification, we're not, it's not permitted in
It'll
ag,
be a continue, or a,
right?
Conditional.
What about ag?
Conditional.
well, it should be added in egg, or, I mean, of
Where?
course, in egg,
Agriculture?
I mean, of
Yeah.
course, again, agriculture is one of those things that everything in here should be permitted because you can't stop anything in agriculture, no. As simple as that.
Personal.
Well, I mean, it's pretty clear, you can't do anything to inhabit a farm from doing what it needs to be a farm. I mean, it was clearly stated in the legislature, I don't remember again, but you know, it says, it's not our purpose to bother a farm with zoning. So you can zone a farm, but you can't tell them what to do.
Correct. So let's get back to task at hand, please.
Right.
Supper's waiting.
Okay. Well, we've only got another hour, we'll be down to. So then are we moving on from accessory buildings then?
So in other words, you're adjusting the definition, so that is a line item that has to go before a public hearing and go forth as an alteration or change.
Right.
So are you saying, are you making a motion right now, or are you simply gonna scribble all over this book and come back and say, let's catch what we caught?
Yeah.
Or do you want to start compiling a list right now,
That's what I'm.
so we don't go backwards.
She's compiling the
So in
list.
that list, are you making a recommendation that the dwelling accessory, the definition is the first line?
Yes,
Then make that a motion, please,
Oh,
and
okay.
second it.
I will make
So we have
that.
progress here. If not, we're gonna go backwards and we're right back at a document that no one knows which version's which and who has the right one.
Okay, I make a motion, we remove everything after land, principal use of land, period. Is that correct where we're at?
Yes, because basically those are examples, folks. That's why it's also confusing. Those were examples if you read it.
So we got a motion,
Second.
seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Do we need to make a motion then to add accessory buildings to R1, 2, 3?
Yes, because you're changing the definition and there you're changing the actual use of the spreadsheet and use.
and A, and leave it as conditional in business park. If you want to take a plumb out of business park.
It's conditional.
Okay.
So repeat your motion again.
So we add accessory buildings to R1, R2, R3, RMH, and A,
The conditional use
and business park will be conditional use.
well, that is a proposal to add conditional.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table to update the uses in R1, R2, R3, RMH, and ag from not being allowed to being
Allowed.
allowed.
As accessory use.
As, yeah.
Yeah, second.
Seconded. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay.
Okay, now I will move to make,
And this is, and these are all so that we can move forward with it. You're making the notes. We'll go, and obviously this goes before public hearing and all this other good stuff.
I will move to change business park to a conditional use on the
Okay.
accessory building.
Okay, so then we have a motion on the accessory building to, where it's not allowed in the business park to make it a conditional use.
Second.
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right.
Didn't realize these were all recommendations.
Yes.
folks.
And that was just one of the,
Iconic.
a lot. We got a long way to go. Did you say you were a volunteer? No, the gentleman behind you.
Oh, yeah, I nominate him.
Okay, good. Sounds good.
Awesome.
All right, sounds good.
Come in and see it tomorrow.
So that's just one.
Are you gonna switch it to building and common?
Yes, oh yeah, yes, we do need to do that as well.
Raymond,
Does that need to be a motion, even though
Make a
we're,
motion to that too, or, okay. I
yeah.
move we make a motion that we change it to building, accessory.
Or you can just change your definition of accessory dwelling to state building accessory, that first line. Because if not, you're gonna get so many people confused. So simply just state, you're changing the definition, just amend the definition to
Okay.
read building,
Accessory.
yes. Second, as amended,
So we got a motion to amend the definition that currently reads accessory dwelling to read building, accessory. Correct? Russ, is that how you like it?
oh yeah, that's right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
All right, 3 done.
But we want to change it on our list too, it's
Yes.
accessory building on here.
Sure.
Okay, what's next? Accessory business operation related to ag. So is that going to change business accessory ag?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
I think this in your packet. I did go through those first two sections that you identified last time. And I can't claim that I caught everything for you, but it's got this,
It's in the packet.
yeah, it's the top, yeah. It's the first page of the table.
Keep going.
We'll back.
first page of the table.
Yeah. It's right ahead of the other two.
Okay.
Keep going.
And, so I got through the first things and,
Right there.
Okay.
like I said, I can't claim it's 100% accurate. Yeah, go back one more. I think it's one. See it?
Yeah.
Did you find it?
I have, I've got it.
So there is no definition for that? So give me an example what that would be there, why that needs to be in there, Raymond.
I don't really know.
I mean, it's ag related, but I don't,
Right, well,
why can't we just use the accessory building definition?
I guess in case
This
if you're
is dealing
a
with
farmer's
business.
market, if you have like a farm
Mhm.
to market stand on your
Okay.
property,
Right.
that is a business
Okay,
that's ag related. As you're going towards Whitehall, Highway 41, left-hand side. Mhm.
right, if I put a garden in out there, I want to sell hay out of a storefront for feed
On site,
on site.
yes.
You know, if I planted 10 acres of barley and I wanted to sell it on site, that would be a business related to the egg.
okay.
But
Yeah,
I
I
would
guess look at
think,
hemp.
I would think it's an accessory business related to agriculture operation. I think pretty much says it all. I mean, I don't know, really, you need, I mean, I guess if we wanted to add it in there, an accessory agriculture business is something related to the farm. I don't know.
It's because it's in there already. That's why it's in there.
Mhm.
Right.
It's in the ag section, it's not in your definition section.
Yeah, I didn't.
So I'm good with it.
You're good with what?
Next.
Is there any definition in that book over there, Todd?
Well, under agricultural building, a structure on agricultural land designed, constructed, and used to house farm implements, livestock, or agricultural produce or products grown or raised on the premises. That's an agricultural building.
Or as we like to think for the farm.
Mhm.
That too.
It's a good definition, adopt it.
You what?
Adopt it. It's not the same as a barn. If this is a public, farm's private. You know, some of you folks that think you can trespass and go anywhere, I think the definition that Todd has is very precise to business operations versus daily operations of a rancher and or farmer. Unless you want to come help me out some jugs, there's some folks I know right now that really could use them cleaned out. Okay, no takers. Damn. So either accept the definition, folks, or move on. Crickets? I'm ready to leave. Come on.
Well,
So do you have a motion?
Yeah, so move to adopt as Todd wrote it.
Okay.
that's not for, well, that's not a business.
It's simply a recommendation to put it on the thing for the hearing so people can give their
Okay.
feedback on it. So
I
that people
second.
like Ed doesn't stand up every 2 minutes.
Second, quick, sit
If
down.
not, folks, you're gonna be here till you're buried. Let's frickin' be honest. Move forward.
All right.
I'd make one suggestion. I'd drop the accessory since it's shown as a principal use. The only place it's shown as under ag is a principal use. So
Right.
I would drop the accessory in front of it. And it may not need a definition. It's almost self-defining probably.
Exactly, it is.
Right.
That's what you were saying. Yeah.
That's why I don't understand.
But I would drop, I'd suggest that you drop accessory.
Good idea.
Just change it to business operation related to agriculture operation. I'll
Yeah.
make that as a
Right.
motion.
Second.
So we got a motion to drop accessory off of business operation related to agriculture. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Do we want to add a definition or leave it alone? Sounds like we're leaving it alone.
Straightforward. If you have a definition, it's gonna be contradictory.
Okay, sounds good. Accessory dwelling unit. Just so you guys know, this is more enjoyable. This is not normal. This isn't usually this much fun, you know.
It's entertaining for them.
Hang around.
Oh, this is something.
Well, that's another one of them things we need to turn around to say dwelling accessory. Because that's where it's in the definitions here, is under dwelling accessory.
Have a,
So we got a motion on the table to
Accessory
swap it around to dwelling accessory? Huh? Yeah. Under the definitions?
An independent dwelling unit that has been added onto or created within a single household house.
So we have a motion to swap that to dwelling accessory?
That's what we had
Yeah, I mean,
Well, on the table.
on the table, yeah.
So the table matches?
and maybe in the end, we need to just make one motion to swap everything on the table to match the definitions. Because all the definitions have been changed already. I believe that most of them have.
Quite a few of them. I'd be consistent with the dwelling unit definition. I suggest you drop the S to the dwelling unit, comma, accessory, instead of units, instead of plural.
Do you have a second on that? You have the motion. Did you say second? Second, all those in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. We're rolling now. We're good with the definition on that? Dwelling accessory? Yeah, it's pretty basic, simple, easy to understand, looks good, huh?
Yeah, well, and let's see, permitted in R2, R3. Yeah, not permitted in any of the C zones,
Which does seem strange, doesn't it?
well, because the dwellings are permitted, yes, in the C zones,
They are?
yes.
this is different.
See, when you go down here and you see dwelling, it's permitted in almost all the C zones, some kind of dwelling. The dwelling accessory is permitted in all the C zones here, but an accessory dwelling is not.
Which doesn't make sense.
No, well,
It
that's,
It does.
It's a dwelling unit.
Unit
not a dwelling.
versus individual.
oh, right, okay. Right,
Yeah.
I'm off one.
It's the one that can be above a garage or part of the house.
Correct.
Okay, but dwelling units are permitted. If I go to where it says dwelling unit,
Right.
they're permitted, but if I go to what do we, I'm in the wrong accessory dwelling unit, so I'm in the wrong thing like that. I'm confused again.
They're two different things.
Yeah, right, oh, I see that.
So what I'm saying is if you look at this, you're allowed to build an apartment complex on a commercial piece of property, but you can't build a house with an accessory dwelling unit on that same lot? Am I understanding that correctly, the way that reads?
That's what it reads.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Makes zero sense. I can build a gigantic apartment building, but I can't build a single-family house and have a.
Well, if you want to build a duplex, you can.
Well, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like you can build build an apartment complex, but you can't have just a single house with a garage in the back with an apartment attached. Doesn't have a.
Great, you could build it as a duplex.
No, I know. I get that, and that's what I'm saying. If you look down there, it says permitted, 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 but up here for something like an accessory dwelling unit, which to me seems a lot more minor, it's not allowed. That's the part.
Right, so if you look at it from the standpoint of a developer builder,
Sure.
duplex, I have hookup. Whereas if I have an existing house and I'm putting another add-on, addition on, I'm tying into the existing, and maybe it's not zoned, maybe it's not designed for that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're really, yeah, I mean, it's like on the bid route right now and saying that all the 5-bedroom houses that were approved on a 3-bedroom septic tank. That'd be the same thing as putting this house and adding on, and now I have 5 houses adding on to one water line, whereas I have a duplex, I have separate utilities, separate water lines.
But apartment complexes don't do that.
But they have a larger hookup though.
Well, and that's what
There's vision that it's developed as an entity
Sure.
versus today I do this, tomorrow I do that, the next day I add on this.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just think about it very basically, that's why.
Yeah, I guess what I'm getting at is if I because we're talking about a lot of people that are currently in a C2
Right.
that have a house that if they wanted to go put a shed, a mother-in-law apartment off the back, they wouldn't be allowed to do that right now with the way it stands. Even if they did their own hookup, they could tie into a whole separate hookup. They wouldn't be allowed to do that.
Because you hope that they stay within the proper zone. Because right now you're getting into the role where you're trying to mold and shape the zones for consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to have every commercial C2 with the residential in there?
No, but we have a lot in the town that is.
But this has been an adjustment
Mhm.
to absorb and respect people, and that's why we have unique conglomerates of what we do have in this town. If we were to come into, say, Beaver Pride subdivision,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
is there not expectations? Is there not requirements for certain lots in certain locations?
There is, yeah. But what I'm saying is right now we have a bunch of people, residential at homes in town. We're talking people right back here that have a house that is in a commercial zoned area, and they're allowed to build a giant apartment building if they wanted to do that, but we're not allowing them to put a mother-in-law apartment in the back. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense.
No,
That
it's just
piece.
you want to have consistency. If
Mhm.
it's in a C2, we want apartments there. We don't want to have a single family, folks. Stay in the R1s, R2s, R3s.
Mhm.
But because we've respected people and the way this town is laid out and annexed in, we try to meet the people's needs.
Mhm.
And there's going to be the exceptions. But you got to look for the bigger. If I'm looking at an apartment building, I know that apartment building has a water suppression system. It better. Whereas my house with the mother-in-law unit's like, oh, well, it's a water line through a water line 2-inch, I hope there's water pressure. It's simply just a guide, folks. It's direction to help people out.
Mhm.
might add, before this zoning, actually, single-family residents were not allowed in commercial zones.
Yeah. Before which
Before
one?
this zoning, the old zoning didn't allow single-family residents in commercial zones.
Correct.
Everything that's built was actually built prior to the ordinances in 72 or 76.
Yeah, and through there.
Yeah, in a commercial zone, you're only allowed to have apartment buildings or multi-unit something. And then when they put this in, they said, okay, build houses any way you want. This is basically what happened. And I don't know, sometimes I think some of this stuff was really an oversight. I think, like in the M1 zones, I don't think they ever really intended on building houses in an M1 zone or an M2 zone. But it was just put in there, I was letting build houses any way they want. And so that's what we're living with now is, you know, hindsight would have been nice to go back when they were doing this, say, wait a minute, that's silly. But for one reason or another, it never happened, so.
Mary Jo, you have something?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I think that we have to always remember that zoning and our zoning book is our vision for what we would like the city to look like. And so it's just a vision. There's always going to be exceptions, and we have a variance procedure just for those things. And especially with you know, a city like Dillon, where we have lots of older parts of town and newer parts of town, there's always going to be room for being creative, but we do that through the variance process.
Can I ask you a question real quick? How many people in here is a member of the variance board of adjustments?
I am.
1, 2, 3, 4? Or are you no longer a mayor? 3? We're getting awful close to a quorum. If you guys want to discuss this, you need to either decide if you want to be on the board of adjustments, or you need to decide that you're not going to actively participate and advocate for people to go to your board. You are a quasi-judicial. You cannot advocate people to come to your board at a zoning meeting that sends them to your board.
Right, I don't think she was advocating, I think she was just pointing out protocol and the order of how things are done. That was it. I don't think there was any soliciting or that. It's just a matter of, folks, this is what happens, and we do.
I am not speaking to any particular case. I'm just talking about what zoning is for, and the chief purpose of zoning is to provide a healthy and safe environment. The other part of this I thought that we should maybe keep in mind is that we have other documents that help us in our zoning, and those are our growth policy and our, especially for the C3, the downtown plan. So we have other documents that can help us with what our vision for the city should look like. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have just a little thing that jumped out at me for some reason, but I believe that with the, I guess you changed it to dwelling unit, comma, accessory, or it's proposed to be changed to that. It probably should be an accessory uses, not principal uses, right? And I did look in the code, and it refers to it as accessory in the part in the R1, R2 that describes it. So I suggest that you change those P's in R1, R2 to A.
I can't make a motion.
Is there any other public comment at this time on accessory dwelling units? Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment this time on that portion. Back for discussion. I get what you're saying, Russ. I understand that it's all based on vision as far as that goes. But it does come down to the fact that there's an awful lot of people that are impacted by this decision on just C2, all the residential in
Is that
town.
your decision as a zoning commission, or is that their decision of where they live?
What do you mean?
You as a zoning commission are changing districts. Those people did not ask, they're simply impacted as where they currently reside.
I get that.
So they have no choice, and I really don't care either way. I really don't. But you gotta start looking and saying, hey, residential to residential. Pig farm, pig farm. I can't have the two overlap. And that's what we're starting to get into. And that's where you have the issues like, okay, here's commercial properties that have said setbacks and everything else. Now I have residential with said setbacks right next door to it. You're now allowing that to go in there as new construction and new construction. The folks that are being grandfathered in are grandfathered in. But when we start bringing in everything together and you want them to live in copacetic side by side and there's different setbacks, different requirements, that's the issue we have. Then they go to sell and say, the zoning said it was okay. And now the new folks are stuck with the problem of saying, damn, I got a 3-story skyrise next to me. Well, not 3 because our fire trucks don't go that high. But that's why you try to create uniformity for zoning, setbacks, everything, and that's why. I mean, we can all vote wherever you want. This is simply recommendations going forward, folks.
No, and I get that. And that's what I'm saying. Uniformity in my mind, if it's used, we've always talked about the use, not the zoning, but the use. If it's zoned commercial, but they're using it as residential, it's all the use. So what I'm saying is if everything else is allowed in a commercial, except for accessory dwelling, that just seems odd to me. That's all I'm saying. Everything else is allowed in a commercial zone piece, except for an accessory dwelling unit. And if we're going through this, I just see that being an issue, a lot going down the road. Why not address it now and see what happens?
Okay, so moved.
So we've got a motion on the table to we've already changed the way that it reads to dwelling accessory, common accessory. So this would be what exactly? Conditional use.
Okay. Are we talking about dwelling accessory?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, dwelling accessory is permitted in the C1, C2, C3 zone. If you turn the page over to the next one. Dwelling accessory, first one on the list.
That's what I'm saying, but it's not up here on the top piece.
Well, it's already permitted on the next one, so that's.
That's what I'm saying, is
So we
it's
need
not,
to-
it's
Right.
contradicting itself, that's what I'm
Right.
saying.
No, the dwelling unit is different than the dwelling.
Yes.
Dwelling accessory.
Dwelling unit, accessory dwelling unit is different than an accessory dwelling.
Yes.
The dwelling is the building.
Yeah.
The accessory dwelling
Okay,
unit
okay. I'm in the wrong place
is
again.
a single,
We're not talking about dwelling accessory, we're talking about,
Accessory dwelling unit, which we flopped to be dwelling, comma, accessory,
Right.
unit.
dwelling unit.
Unit, not S.
Yeah.
Took the S off, yep.
Yeah.
They're not allowed.
So we just need clarification on what exactly that motion is.
the dwelling accessory is not allowed, but a dwelling unit is.
No, accessory dwelling is.
Right, but a dwelling unit is allowed. That's why I said I'm getting confused again now.
I'm with Russ, maybe we need to, call it a night.
I'm sorry, yeah, it's just been a long day.
Yeah.
I had water and sewer at 3, you know, Raymond did too, it's just been a long night, and I think.
That's what I'm thinking, it might not be a bad idea to,
But I think in perception, we gotta look at it from the betterment of the community and what's best for everyone, folks. I'd love to have white picket fences in a great neighborhood, and everyone has a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and 2 dogs that don't bark. You know, it's not gonna happen.
I want a green fence. I don't want your white fence, I want a green one.
I'm colorblind, it don't matter.
we knew it was gonna be a long process, that's all I'm saying.
That's why I
This
said,
is,
that's why I said each one of these maximum.
yeah, it's not gonna be, we're not
No,
gonna, we're not gonna
you're
get
not
through
gonna
it.
fly through it.
No, and we don't need to. We need to just take it, you know, take our time and make sure it's right, you know? Or at least as close to right as we can, you know? And then in the end, when it goes forward to, you know, the next steps to public hearings and all that other stuff, who knows what it's gonna end up being?
Exactly, because
This is
we're
just-
just making recommendations.
Yeah, that's why, yeah, Ed?
Well, there's one thing about this accessory dwelling unit, or dwelling unit, common accessory. Again, probably should be accessory for R1, R2, and R3, but that, the only place that appears in the code is in the residential district's definition, and it's specific to R2 and R3. So I don't think you lose anything by just leaving it that way and changing those from principal use to accessory use if you want to. It's very specific to those residential districts, I think.
And that's kind of what
Unless
I
you want
was,
to change that part.
that's
of
kind of what I was
code.
feeling there, is there's,
Yeah,
I mean, I get it in R1, but everything above that, to me, it
Yeah.
seems like we're,
but the rest of it that goes along with specifying what you can do for an accessory dwelling unit is in the residential section,
sure,
you know, the 1760.
sure.
It's not discussed or described anywhere else in the code. So if you're gonna add it to some other districts, you're gonna have to circle back and make some other fairly significant changes.
Sure.
So,
All right, thanks, Ed.
The definition's good, it's just the spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're, a motion on the table to approve, yeah.
I need clarification what exactly we're doing. Are we doing it in just C1, C2, RMH? What do you think of that?
I think I would just do it to R1 and R2. And my reason is, when you get down here to dwelling unit, which is allowed in these C1s, it's almost identical to,
Well, it's not allowed in R1. And
no, and it shouldn't be.
that's what I'm saying.
Right, right, because R1 is more constricted. than
So it
C1.
is, so we're not gonna, I guess my thing is, yeah, it does say it down there, accessory dwelling is allowed in a commercial. This isn't gonna contradict, we're not gonna run into any issues. We're not, I'm good with that.
It's underlined, so it's a rectangle.
that would be a separate building,
Mhm.
accessory dwelling.
Yeah. I mean, it does say it, so. But it is a permitted use. Ed got a lot further than we're gonna get tonight, just so you know, Ed. On your little sheet that you have.
Yeah. It was quick and dirty, so no guarantee.
So it's permitted where, please? It's permitted where?
Under, it says dwelling accessory
Yeah.
in commercial. So it's the first dwelling.
So what it means in residential, the way you guys have used it, I think, in residential, is that the dwelling accessory is a principal use in R2 and R3.
Right.
So you can have two single household buildings.
Correct.
And that's also allowed in a commercial
Yeah.
in C1, C2, and C3, so that is an allowed use.
Sounds good to me?
So we should be covered there, not mess with it, or?
No,
Okay.
because I'm looking, I don't see it anyplace else.
Okay. All right, sounds good. So with that said, you want to move on to public comment?
I think so.
All right, sounds good.
No, cover the question.
Oh, the
Yes.
question of what?
Oh.
I forgot where we're at.
We did adjust the dwelling, switched it from accessory dwelling units to dwelling, accessory unit.
A dwelling unit.
No dwelling unit,
Yeah.
accessory.
Yeah, just what you said. So we got a motion on the table, and you called for the question, huh?
And,
No, I second
Jackie seconded.
yeah, so you have that, and then you also have the spreadsheet.
To what?
Permitting it, you all want it there. Do y'all not want it? And see
Well, I thought you'd said that we were covered by going with the stuff down below. So you're saying that we should probably do that, not be out of line, is what you're thinking?
So
Okay.
that's consistent.
Okay, so for consistency purposes, we'll also change it to match below, which is,
R2, R3.
R2, R3 will stay the same, but then also in C1, C2, C3,
Yes.
M1, and M2 to be a permitted use. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? All right.
Mr.
Did
Chairman.
you get all that?
Did someone second it? I don't.
Jackie did.
it.
Yeah.
I didn't follow what you did. Did you allow dwelling unit, accessory
Yes.
in everything above R3?
Yep.
Or R2?
Well, we didn't do RMH because it wasn't allowed down below.
Yeah,
So we just matched the below accessory dwelling.
okay, now the other thing I'd suggest again is that those be accessory uses and not principal uses,
Okay,
since it says dwelling unit, accessory.
okay. So where do you specify that?
Well, in the matrix
Yeah.
where it now just shows principal uses for R2 and R3,
Okay,
then you're gonna extend
yeah,
it out,
Yes.
except for
Accessory uses.
RMH.
okay,
And then I suggest that instead of principal use, you make them all accessory use.
okay. Can we get a motion for that?
So moved.
All right, so we got a motion on the table to move, to switch them from principal use to accessory use under the, the current accessory dwelling unit. All those, so we have a motion.
Second.
Seconded, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? All right. So is that as clear as mud for you there?
I got
Christina?
lost on that last one. We're changing them from permitted to conditional or the other way around?
Accessory use.
Accessory.
Accessory use,
Yeah.
yeah.
Accessory.
Instead of a principal use, it'll be accessory use. Now we'll move on to public comment on items of significant public interest, not on the agenda, and within this jurisdiction of the zoning commission. Did you want to stand up and?
You know, we're talking about the area of, my area home here.
So if you want to stand up and then mic. Yep. Yeah, over there in the potato cellar, yep.
Well, what I have to say about it is it's, excuse me, you need to say your name. I'm Delbert Hunt. I'm one of the founders of the Groundhog Company here in Dillon. And I am a longtime resident of Dillon, born and raised over here on Reeder Street years ago. Anyway, the area that I'm in right now, you know, we made a significant investment in over there. It's zoned commercial. I would like it to stay commercial. And, all of the other businesses that are over there have been there, in my opinion, for a long time. And for now, I just want it to remain the same. There's some other things that I'd like to talk about, how to advance the businesses over there, other than restrict them with access and so on and so forth. So with that, I'm gonna stop right here. I'm gonna gain my thoughts, and I'm gonna come back.
Sounds good. We look forward to seeing you. We'll have a lot more discussion over the next few weeks. Our next meeting is the 9th.
Yes.
And we'll be having more discussion on the potato cellar and what came from the hearing and all that good stuff coming up. Anything else? Sandra?
So the green zone that came up in the conversation, I don't know, is that under the zoning or is that some other? What's that?
It's wherever it falls.
Hmm?
I would say parks.
What's that,
Recreation.
the weed ordinance?
No.
The green zone.
It was his
No,
idea.
how to curb the weeds and maintenance along Blacktail Creek. And obviously you're gonna create either the Friends of the Blacktail Creek Association, or you're gonna say Parks and Recreation. Truly, it's the area there. Health and safety, it could go there. It also could go to zoning with a green belt overlay.
So green belt overlay would be in planning then or in zoning?
Zoning.
So,
Planning board already addresses it with the weed department.
okay, so how does one get information about what this is, the zone? I mean, for green zone.
It is simply a terminology that was thrown out there as a starting point. It has to be either created
Okay.
and come to the council and say, hey, here's an idea, can we send this to which committee to look into it further to actually get motion going on it?
Mhm.
And if not, truly, I suggest, and I apologize for giving feedback during a public comment section. The other route would simply be tag along with the cleanup day and truly get a hold of Lori and the weed folks, and we simply pull some of the weeds and help remove them. Because there's two options right there to help better our waterways through our community and cut down on the weeds, as well as to educate.
Okay. So who deals with the buffer idea, buffer concept of transitioning from one zone to another? What,
That is truly in the zoning doc, and it's screening. We don't officially have buffer in there per se, but there is, it talks about screening and that stuff. I don't think subdivision regs addresses that I'm aware of.
I don't think so.
No, but as a zoning board, we won't be able to change zone and force them guys to do something. They'll have to voluntarily want to plant the flowers because they're already an established business.
Well, we're not trying to plant flowers.
The buffer zone that you're
Home
talking
weeds.
about is something we would, if a new business come in, we would say, okay, you gotta put a buffer zone around your business. The business is already there, we can't tell them to put a buffer zone.
that's what I want, yeah.
Right, I mean, it actually, that was there before the residents were there.
Right.
And
But because it's being zoned now, that's where I thought,
Right, but it's still already there.
Yeah.
We can't say we're gonna zone you and force you to do,
right,
the new proposed floodway,
it's gonna take care of most of it.
it takes care of it,
Right,
That's-
really.
right.
It's
And
been
that's-
trumped so much, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because once it's in the floodway, it's, it'll be an act of Congress to do anything on it. Anything.
But to be proactive, I guess there is a way of you just gently being a neighbor to a neighbor and just say, hey, pick up your trash, pull your weeds, put up a nice privacy fence within the requirements of the zoning. And I think this is where we just truly got to do some PSAs, because I think people forget weeds are more prominent in the city of Dillon than they are outside of the county, y'all.
It's because you got all them deer running around spreading them.
Only 3. And a cow. coyote. And magpies.
Well, if you have noxious weeds, the county will take care of it.
Yeah. Weed board.
Yeah.
See, there's got to be something.
Okay, so the noxious weeds are there, for example, this, all this private property, but they can, only way that can be addressed is through, citizens complaint. I would have to go and make a complaint. Now, you know, that's,
Okay, so you can look at it two ways. You can either say citizens complaint, or you can say, hey, we're gonna get together with some of the neighbors and let's try to help this out so we all enrich our neighborhood. It'd be like me driving down my alley and picking up all the trash and all the cigarette boxes and all the beer cans. I don't smoke and I don't drink, but I pick them up because I'm a good neighbor.
right,
And that's where we have to start.
yeah.
My understanding is that if you call the weed board and tell them there are some noxious weeds someplace, they take it from there.
Are you talking about the county?
Yeah, the county.
Yeah, that's who I talked to.
Yeah.
They can't do anything.
Yes, they can.
No, they can't. No, according to who I was
She
discussing.
has to sign the complaint.
They can act with a complaint. So they have to have a complaint, like from a private citizen and say that but they can't make the complaint
Right.
because it's private land. So, but because it causes so many problems downstream, you know, it's sort of a confusing. Okay. And I thought, you know, I just spoke with them.
Todd's your guy there, Sandra. Russ is being nice, so Todd's the man to talk to.
Thank you.
As far as getting something lined out with the council, isn't that what you're saying? To get it on the agenda, to have it given to somebody to look into this overlay or the different options, yeah. So if you want to get with Todd, then he can get it presented on the agenda for the council, and then they'll ask us or whoever else to dive into it.
Yeah.
And he's recommending the Parks Committee, Todd.
And there are service organizations with kids that are always looking for a project for those kids to help you with the trash.
And the kids up at the college and that, you know, they've
Yeah,
done
youth challenge.
many projects like that.
Right.
Mhm.
But, you know, it's not my property.
Well, I know, but I think
Because
those
I do my
guys,
own weeding.
so just those people that were here tonight, I mean, they said themselves, heck yeah, we're not a fan of weeds, and I think most people are that way, so if you, if it starts and they go through and like Russ is saying, they get it as part of the cleanup day, the Earth Day celebration that they do, then maybe they can help with that.
Yeah, like a full list
Yeah.
where on the given times that you can pull weeds, you just call a list of
Yep.
people and say, are you available? Because tomorrow it's going to be wet enough to pull weeds.
Exactly, yep,
All right.
yep.
Let's weed it out.
Any other public comment at this time? All right.
Before we move to adjourn, I just want to say thank you, everyone on the commission. Patience and different visions and views, so thank you. The document's going to be so much better. Move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right. Okay.